You know what sarcasm is. Imagine that you have a child who's a basketball player and you've been building him up for this big game, and sure enough, he has the ball as the final seconds are ticking away, and he shoots and he misses. And as he walks off the court, he walks past you, and you look him in the eye and you say, "Well, that was well done." That would be crushing. What is sarcasm? Sarcasm is saying the opposite of what you really mean. And when you would say to your son, "That was well done," that works. He knows what you're saying because it's so obvious what is true, that it wasn't well done. And by using sarcasm, you're communicating to your son that it was so obvious that he did a bad job. Not just telling him he did a bad job, but that it was so obvious that you can say the opposite, and he will know what you mean. Sarcasm can certainly be used in humorous settings where everybody knows that it's just a joke, but the fact is that sarcasm can be very biting and hurtful, intended to cause pain, which might leave us scratching our heads then when we see God using sarcasm. Listen to this. So Paul is saying to the Corinthians, if someone comes to you and preaches a Jesus other than the Jesus we preached, or if you receive a different spirit from the one you received, or a different gospel from the one you accepted, you put up with it easily enough. Literally, it says you do a great job of putting up with it. Now, was Paul happy that they were putting up with a different gospel? Was he happy that they were accepting a different definition of who Jesus was or what he did than what they had originally heard? No. And he uses sarcasm. Hey, you're putting up with this well enough, or you're putting up with this easily enough. You seem to be doing a great job of putting up with this. To make it obvious to his audience that it was so obvious that what they were doing was wrong. There aren't two different kinds of Jesus. There aren't two different good newses. There's only one. And if someone else presents something that is way different from the only one, but says that it's the real thing, it should be so obvious that it's wrong. And Paul wanted there to be no doubt in the minds of his dear fellow Christians that what they were playing with was fire. What is that fire? It's when we're tempted to believe a good news that's not really good news. There's so much in the world today that would suggest that if you just commit yourself to a plan of action, that if you just be a better person, then you're going to make yourself right with God, that God will be pleased, that God will be satisfied, that you'll make up for things that you're ashamed of. Where Jesus becomes not a savior, but more a model, an example, all of which he truly is. But that's not why he came primarily. He came to help me. And when I'm told that I've got the ability in myself to make God happy with me, or when I'm given the impression that I don't really need a savior in Jesus, what I need is a model that I can aspire to and go after, and what I'll end up with at the end of my life is an effort well made, but success so elusive. When we die, we want to stand before God and be welcomed into heaven. And the only path to eternal peace is to know the good news that your future depends on what Jesus has done for you. That your peace comes from knowing that your sin has been taken away. And if you ever start feeling something different, if you ever start depending too much on yourself, then remember, God is purposefully and pointedly sarcastic with me. If I start thinking there's another gospel, let it not be said of us, "You do a good job of putting up with false teaching." Let me never put up with false teaching, because a lie about my salvation is a destroyer of my salvation.